This is an introduction to the chemtrail issue. Information provided by chemtrails911.com. Since approximately 1998, thousands of people started noticing airplanes spraying X's, parallel lines, and grid patterns across our skies. These trails initially look like contrails, but actually aren't. According to the U.S. Air Force, contrails are condensation trails that happen when hot engine exhaust momentarily condenses ice crystals into pencil-thin vapor trails that quickly vanish like the wave behind a boat, very much like your breath when talking outside on a cold winter day. Chemtrails, on the other hand, linger for hours and will spread out to form large areas of cloud cover. There are several theories as to why these operations may be occurring. However, most of the documentation available points to geoengineering and space weaponry as the reasons that these spray operations are occurring. A concept that keeps popping up in major governmental studies is the idea of spraying aluminum oxide particles into the atmosphere to create a sunscreen. This concept is exactly what respected scientist Edward Teller, the father of the H-bomb, called for in 1997 while at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories. In a government-sponsored report called Global Warming and Ice Ages, he suggested that the scattering of 1 million tons of material into the atmosphere in order to reflect 1% of incoming sunlight. He states that it would be cheaper to slow global warming through stratospheric deployment of oxide particles than to actually slow down greenhouse gases connected with fossil-fired energy production. The sunscreen concept is also called for in a major congressional study titled Policy Implications of Greenhouse Warming, which was sponsored by the National Academy of Sciences, National Academy of Engineering, and the Institute of Medicine. This huge study was reported in 1992 and is the textbook on greenhouse gases, global warming, policy decisions, and mitigations. In this study, they talked about spraying the atmosphere with stratospheric dust or soot and to stimulate clouds in order to mitigate global warming. The study also suggests dumping iron into the ocean to stimulate plankton that could potentially eat carbon dioxide. By looking at Moss Landing Marine Laboratory's recent dumping of iron in the ocean to do just that, you can see that these are not just theories. These are theories in actual use. But the iron theory backfired when a large amount of fish died. So what are the unreported consequences of spraying the atmosphere? Ken Caldera, also from Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories, is a concerned scientist who said that this type of spray operation could have grave environmental consequences and could cause serious health concerns, but it seems that they cared nothing about Mr. Caldera's concerns. Our children are now even being taught this aerial obscuration concept in our schools. In the Level 1 science book, Essential Interactions by Centerpoint Learning Incorporated, a photo of a jet is titled Particle Air and has the caption, "Jet engines running on richer fuel would add particles to the atmosphere to create a sunscreen." This is in the section titled Solutions for Global Warming. In the same section, they also show a picture of a helicopter dumping iron into the ocean as a way to mitigate global warming, as we mentioned earlier. Again, CNN actually reported the iron theory being carried out. These are not just theories. Not only do the government studies support this sunscreen theory, but there are also actual patents that have been issued for devices to carry out these operations. One important patent is the 1994 Welshbach patent issued to Hughes Aircraft Company. It is for atmospheric spraying with aluminum oxide to reduce global warming by seeding and reflecting 1% of incoming sun rays. It so happens that the aluminum consistently turns up in chemtrail-related lab test results. Another patent worth mentioning is the 1975 U.S. Navy patent, which is for contrail generation apparatus for producing powder contrails. In the summary section, it clearly states the term contrail was adopted for convenience in identifying the visible powder trail. It appears they are still using the word contrail for convenience. The people carrying out these types of operations will never use the word chemtrails. They use terms such as aerial obscuration, persistent contrails, or sky soot. But Dennis Kucinich did use the word chemtrails in the Space Preservation Act of 2001, in which he tried to ban chemtrails and other space-based weapons. He wrote the bill, also called H.R. 2977, while he was the head of the U.S. Arms Oversight Committee. The bill calls for a ban on space-based weapons and a ban on the types of operations that we are seeing happen now. In Section 7 of the bill, chemtrails is considered an exotic weapon. Space-based weaponry is another likely reason that these operations are occurring. It is stated in the Air Force study Owning the Weather in 2025. It is a major advantage to modify the weather and cause rain or drought for the enemy. The report states that the spraying of certain chemicals in the skies assists to jam radar and telecommunication systems. They go on to say that these activities could have tremendous potential in times of military aggression and are proud of the fact that these tactics could also have enormous psychological potential, which would be just as beneficial as causing drought or constant rain. The study even goes on to state that one major advantage of using stimulated weather to achieve a desired effect is that, unlike other approaches, it makes what are otherwise the results of deliberate actions appear to be the consequences of natural weather phenomena. These operations also provide advantages for HAARP, which stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. HAARP is a highly funded research project in Alaska focusing on altering and manipulating the atmosphere for weather and military dominance. The U.S. has a long history of spraying chemicals on innocent people in this country. The Freedom of Information Act has allowed us to access information about these experiments, including the spraying of biological agents over San Francisco in 1950 to see who got sick. This is just one example of many. Just recently in 2001, Captain Riley stood against the military's open-air germ testing. There are many more examples in history of aerial spray operations that you can read about on the website chemtrails911.com. In 1997 and again in 2000, U.S. Title 50, Section 32 was actually revised to allow for exceptions in conducting experiments on unwitting citizens. Test results from chemtrails have returned positive for aluminum, barium, bacteria, virus, human blood, and molds. These chemicals are being sprayed in our skies. It is in our air we breathe at levels that are deemed unsafe. According to the American Lung Association, asthma is on the rise among all people in the United States and is the leading serious chronic illness among children. It is very likely that there is not just one single reason for the chemtrails, but instead there may be multiple goals to this operation. Without public pressure, it is not likely that they will ever tell us the reasons as to why they are spraying us. Unfortunately, the goals of this activity aren't known with absolute certainty because when high-level officials are asked about these spray operations, they say that what we are seeing is normal. When concerned pilots and Air Force personnel ask their superiors questions relating to these operations, their concerns are met with replies like, "This information is on a need-to-know basis," or they are given special misinformation to make them think what they are doing is for the good of the people. They are also told that speaking out on this issue will violate national security and that they will be held accountable. These operations cause us to have great concerns. We do not like being part of a secret spray operation without our consent. We are very worried about the health implications of spraying chemicals that are on OSHA's hazardous list, and the fine talcum powder-sized particles they call to be sprayed are very harmful to our health, according to the American Medical Association. There is no reason to think that this will stop without public pressure. All across the country, people are noticing that something is being sprayed from planes, and it is making people sick. It is time for us to pay attention and speak out. For more information, please visit chemtrails911.com and infowars.com. Additional documentaries that cover this subject are Aerosol Crimes and What in the World Are They Spraying? Both available free on YouTube. The footage that you have been watching was filmed in my backyard in Delaware.